Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Karishma Connect. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having a wonderful day as you scroll through this episode. And I hope you tune in to yet another insightful conversation, this time round with Ayshwarya Chari, the co founder of 1115 Inc., who, along with Shraddha Barrett, who you might know from my previous episode as the founder of White Label Media, runs this e commerce consultancy called 1115 Inc. What's the rationale behind that number? That's really interesting to find out, and she delves deep into it on this episode. She also tells me about what's in the business for aspiring consultants, why small businesses must invest early in e-commerce, how the field has evolved so wonderfully, and how it has helped survive several challenges for businesses across. What are some of the strategies that small businesses can implement from the get-go, and why it's important to think about these questions much earlier than you expect them to be. Go check out the episode. There's a lot of resources in it. It's been a wonderful chat. And before I wrap up, I'd like to specifically thank Karina Deliwala, my little superstar who's helped me edit this episode. And I look forward to collaborating with her across the upcoming ones. Until the next one, I'll see you soon because this is Karishma and we are talking on Karishma Connect.
It's a beautiful Monday morning and I'm so excited to be talking to you. Thank you.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Most welcome. The first question that I ever say on my podcast, and this is just because I believe that the person defines their journey like no other. Tell me about your passions. Tell me about your vibe. Tell me about where you are, how you got there, and what makes it such a special place to be.
Oh, amazing. Let me start. So, absolutely, completely agree with you. I think start with why is everything. So, I'll tell you a little bit of where I came in. I have my qualifications are that I have a master's in microbiology, and I was in the middle of a PhD, starting my PhD and doing, thinking about it. And I used to work at the National Institute of Oceanography. This is what I was doing when I left it all to move here to be with my husband in 2004. And when I came here in 2004 and I said, I have a master's in microbiology, everybody went, huh? What are you going to do with that, right? It was quite a different time at that point in time. So I stayed at home for some time until a friend of mine called and he said, well, what are you doing with your life? He used to work for a bank. He was very senior. He's like, why don't you come and join a banking role? So like everybody else in 2004, 2005, I joined banking and I worked with a couple of leading local banks here. I was leading some teams, sales teams. I loved every second of it. I loved meeting people. I loved meeting different people. Every day was different. It was amazing. And I had just moved to a bank in 2000 and I want to say 9 when the recession hit. So I was a victim of the LIFO, the last in first out. I had just joined a couple of months ago. At which point in time I said, all right, let me kind of reassess. I've gone with the flow for so many years now. Let me reassess what it is that I want to do. So I traveled a bit, I came back and I was pregnant. So I had my baby, and when she was about 6 months old, me and my best friend Kirsten, we were chatting and we said, what's really missing is stuff that's different for kids in this region, stuff that's not what I can just go and buy in the mall. And my friend Kirsten was from Holland. And so she said, all the way through in Scandinavia, you have such really cool things. So on a whim, we said, all right, we're going to set up an e-commerce store. It was called 6ambabies.com. The two of us set it up together. We launched it in 2010.
Okay.
And this was pre-souk.com, this was pre-Mum's World. The e-commerce didn't exist in this region at that point in time. There were one or two scattered online stores, which were again in baby and child. We launched, and a couple of months later, I think souk.com was around the same time, and then Mum's World a few months later or something. I can't really remember the timeline. But we were one of the very early entrants. And really, that was my degree in e-commerce. It was just because we went in very naively. We said, what can possibly go wrong? We're going to set up a website. We're going to put on products and people will buy. So we learned very quickly how to work. And we were small business owners on our budgets, mothers, multitasking. So we learned to do everything hands-on, which was great. So we ran that store, mom and pop. The store was looking after itself for a while. We ran it until personal circumstances changed for my partner, at which point in time, one of the local gentlemen in this region asked me to run his online store in baby and child, which I did for a couple of years. Again, after I did that, there was a funding issue there, after which sadly could not sustain. I started freelance consulting for e-commerce stores. So I would help e-commerce business owners in the SME space kind of get their offering together, get the tech up, get the project up, whatever was required, because I had run e-commerce businesses, which is when my current partner Shraddha approached me because she wanted to set up her e-commerce store. So we started working together. We had great chemistry, but the recession hit at the COVID hit at that point in time. And the project got shelved, and we all took a breath. We took a step back during COVID, and I was supporting all of my clients pro bono at that point in time, getting them through COVID. And I saw firsthand the transformative efforts of what e-commerce can do. Businesses that had just launched, I remember the two businesses I was working with freelance, one launched in February 2020, one launched on the 8th of March 2020. Both of these were brick and mortar stores. 11th of March 2020, brick and mortar shut down. E-commerce actually saved these businesses, actually put food on the table, right? So I saw firsthand transformatively what it can do for a business. Shraddha's strength is marketing and PR. My strength is operations, business, tech. So we had a coffee, and I said, look, if a big business wants to go, if Carrefour or Majid Al Futtaim, if there's somebody big wants to go and do something with their tech business, they have people they can go to, right? There's huge consultancies. They can go to KPMG for strategy. They can go to Accenture to build. They can go to Accenture for strategy as well. Who does the medium business owner go to? There is nobody that a medium business owner or a small business owner can go in who understands their constraints, who understands their business and helps them launch in the digital world. And that's how 1115 was born. That's our why.
It's a very interesting why, because I do know about this evolution, because in one of my conversations with my mother, she told me that there was a time when she was entering one of her jobs, and the owner or somebody told her that, I'm going to open up an online website. And back in the day, she says, Karishma, I didn't even think that this could even take off. Like, I actually laughed at her and said, what are you talking about? And today you've come to a point after COVID, exactly what you said. And truly, there is nobody to guide, because even when we started a small business of our own, I remember there is nobody to guide you on these things. You kind of are just navigating your journey. Lest alone, people are not even willing to invest sometimes, because they're like, what's the need for this? Because they're thinking as a small business. Have you faced that challenge? And then how have you combated that?
When you say invest, do you mean business owners investing in the business, or do you mean investors?
No, say, for example, with your clients, have you noticed that kind of apprehension before even
100%
about, attaching this one more arm to their business, basically?
100%. And there is still the mindset. It's a lot better now, but sadly the mindset is still that e-commerce is a cool thing to do, or it's a disruptive thing to do. The mindset needs to change, that it's not disruptive, it's a part of the toolkit. 20 to 30% of your business should come from digital channels. That is the expectation from business today. It is no longer a good to have, it is a must have. It is absolutely something that you need to do. It is something you need to invest in. That part of the business needs to pull its weight. It can't be a tick the box exercise. And to pull its weight, you need to put work into it. And it is one of those things that takes time, it takes energy, it takes process, but it pays off in the long run.
Yeah, true that. And if you were to explain this to a 5-year-old, how would you put it? This is the word.
I help people sell on the internet.
Perfect. And what are the 3 main important aspects of selling things on the internet that people must know as
it's a
quick one-on-one with them?
Yeah. So the first thing is, it's business first. right? There is so much focus on technology. Technology is a means to the end. It's the way you're selling. Just like you wouldn't walk into a mall and do your fit out before you understood everything else, wait on your technology. Your approach needs to be business and process first. Understand your business, understand your margin, understand what does your supply chain look like, build your business roadmap. When you build your business roadmap, then I come to the second one is technology. Technology, your choice of technology is informed by your business roadmap. It is when you go technically now, what happens is if you walk into any, and most people go to freelance web developers in the beginning, which is, I absolutely know, this is the way for SMEs to do it. You can't afford to have an in-house team. That is a growth phase. So you should go to web development agencies. Absolutely, that's the right thing to do. But you need to make an informed choice, because currently what will happen is web development agencies will give you the technology option that they are more comfortable with, which is the cheapest for them, that they have expertise in. So, but you need to understand, these are my business requirements. Does this technology fit my business requirements? So the choice of technology is informed by the business. And the third thing I would say is definitely keep in mind what happens after you start. So a lot of times will happen that businesses will start without a clear um, plan or roadmap in place. Where does the funding come in? How are you going to grow this business? And also really be willing to invest in your business in terms of people. The business cannot scale unless you have people. It's impossible. People are, the businesses that I have worked with, the clients that I have worked with who have been truly successful are the ones who, as soon as they possibly could, brought in expertise where expertise was needed. So those verticals could scale very quickly.
True. Yeah, very true.
And ask and advocate for yourself. I've realized that small business owners, when they walk in, they always feel like, is my budget too small? Is this too little? Can I, don't be on the back foot. Go ahead and advocate. Speak to anybody. Advocate to yourself. Everybody out there, even the big consultants are out there looking for business, right? You'll find a way to work with anyone. So have those conversations. Don't approach anybody on a back foot, whether it's your suppliers, whether it's supply chain, whether it's the couriers, whether it's your payment gateways. Go ahead and take your front foot forward.
I think that's the most important one, because especially with like homegrown businesses, and I have one at my home as well, or even small businesses that have managed to make it out of their homes, that's the main barrier. I think you end up often comparing yourself with the bigger ones, and then the way you talk, the way you position, the way you give that business card of yours just kind of changes. It's not like,
yes,
it's always too humble or too, say that balance is often missing in that space. And
absolutely.
true. That's the most important point. How would you define your purpose when it comes to consulting? What's your approach to it, and what makes you different there?
Our purpose is very business driven technology consultancy, right? So at our very core, we are an advisory. We're very business driven. We're a business consultancy. We have a tech arm. We build technology. We do this. But even that is business driven, because I have run e-commerce and digital businesses myself. I understand where the pitfalls will come in. I understand what every technology limitation is. We understand what is going to get you to scale and what isn't. So our entire purpose is that we don't want a business owner to go in with their eyes closed. We want it to be unbiased. We wanted to fill the gap for that business owner that I said in the beginning. We want to be for a medium business what the big consultants are for the big businesses, helping them make the right choices that will help grow and scale their business.
But tell me something there, Aishwarya. When you're business driven, would you agree with the fact that sometimes less technology is the right technology, because we are in a boom right now?
100%. I am a big believer. So when a new business comes to me and they says, I want to implement the entire ERP system, I will not agree. I push back really hard on that. Simply because you don't know what you need as a business. You can map out from a academic standpoint what you need, but your business will tell you what operations you need. Your business will tell you what systems you need. So coming from a CTO or an outsourced CTO, or however you want to call it, which is what we call our role, is it's very counterproductive sometimes. My approach is, I will say, do it with minimal technology. I won't say zero technology. I'm not saying hold ledgers and write on pen and paper. That's not what I'm saying. But go with minimal technology. The business needs will reveal themselves to you, at which point in time, ERP implementation, for example, is a big one. It's a big mistake to do it from day one unless you know your operations inside out, which is very hard for a new business to take some time. And it could just be a quarter. I'm not saying you need to wait 3 years, but very often what businesses do is if you go into it, and sometimes you have to, depending on the nature of the business. So if you're a brick and mortar, there's no option that you don't go with a POS, you don't go with an inventory management system. You have to make the most informed choice you can, and you then write down your list, you make the most informed choice you can, go ahead with it, and then later the business will reveal itself what the needs are, at which point in time you might have to upgrade or change or whatever.
Very true. Very true. I kind of experience it myself. So that's very true.
Yeah.
I'm resonating with everything that you're saying.
I'm so glad.
Because when you start out, you're pretty much just starting out. But one day after the it's like even this podcast. We're finishing 3 years, and I have at no point even thought that this would even reach 3 years, or there would be people actually coming to it, or having so many people agreeing to. But one after the other, when that happens, it is indeed like, even though this is not something that's, commercial yet or anything, but still it reveals the needs, like you said, that, okay, now I need a mic, now I need to scale up, now I need to like think about where do I put it. So it's so true what you just said. It's something that I absolutely agree with.
I'm so glad you resonate.
And tell me, and feel free to tell me if this question doesn't match, because this comes from my curiosity about your field. Is that in the business of consulting, what do you think are the 3 most important things to keep in mind? Is it, yeah, go ahead.
As you can see, I have an answer. When you're consulting, it's important to understand. So we say we're vertical agnostic, right? We, as consultants, as an e-commerce or digital business consultant, whether you come to me with a health tech platform or you come to me with a pure play FMCG e-commerce, we are vertical agnostic because there are certain basics of business in place, right? So first is understand business basics. That is the most important thing for any consultant, a business consultant, whether you're tech or no. You really need to understand business basics and business operations, without which you cannot consult on technology, in my opinion. The second is understand compliance requirements, and all of that come with projects, right? When I have a health tech project, then I understand the entire compliance requirements, and that is operational. That's how I operate. But it's important to understand what is the business trying to do, how much money are they trying to make, how are they going to make this money, how are they going to scale, what is their 5-year growth plan, what does the technology need to do, like these kind of basics. The second is understand the client. It's important to understand the client's vision. Everybody's starting point is very different. So we have a very mentoring approach when it comes to advisory, right? Because a lot of the clients who come to us have not ever run a business before. And I remember, and Shraddha remembers very clearly, being those business owners who just started off, the small business owners. So our approach to advisory is, when a business comes on board with us, it's very mentoring. It's kind of giving them, even if we're just simply building the technology, even if we haven't been engaged on an advisory project, it's understanding that there is somebody out there to go do their business. So their starting point is very different from another client who comes to us, who is, say, 3 years in, who is now scaling, who's an expert in their field. Where they are starting from is very different, and understanding that and mapping their journey accordingly is very. So we are not, for us as consultants, with a bigger client, will probably say, here you go, we are implementing an entire project management system for you, because of the fact that they have a team to handle it. But a single business owner, if I implement an entire project management system, they're not going to be able to handle it. So it's very client centric and client need centric. And the third thing is, for myself, I say this for myself as well as for every client I work with. There's a quote that I heard a while ago. I don't know who it is, but it's something I live by. And it says that when you are the smartest person in a room, find a different room. Right? So for me, not that I'm ever saying I'm the smartest person in the room, but it's the constant upskilling, being around other entrepreneurs, learning from other people's experiences. Because when you're running a business, whether you like it or not, you're at the top of that. You are running the strategy, you are running the business, you are running, the knowledge is yours, you are the parent of that business. You need to find different rooms, and as consultants we need to find different rooms. We need to learn about the metaverse, we need to learn about what's happening in technology. It's constant learning, it's constant hands-on giving, which helps us give our clients a bit more.
And what do you think makes, because there's so many, especially with the boom of freelancing right now, there are so many consultants coming up right now. Just as much as we have entrepreneurs, we also have a wide range of consultants. So, but what do you think makes an efficient consultant today?
Experience, in my opinion.
Hmm.
I believe there is nothing that can match experience, especially in the SME field, right? If you are somebody who's out of college and you've joined a consultancy, which is a framework, right? Absolutely. You've joined KPMG, you've joined Deloitte, you've joined Accenture. They have frameworks in place to train you. Then that's what qualifies, even if you're fresh out of college, to become a consultant, because you're working within an established framework. But when you have taken on the responsibility to consult with an SME, it's a big responsibility. These people have put their savings in. This is money that they have earned across corporate jobs that they've kept together. That your advice, that keeps me up at night. That kind of stuff it's a big responsibility on you. And I don't believe that there is.
On the load of somebody else's business.
Absolutely, because they've come to you with all of that trust, right? There's a reason they're spending on you, because they believe that you will stop them from making mistakes. And the only way to stop someone from making mistakes is if you have made those mistakes yourself. So, because of all of the clients, I've had 2 businesses, Shraddha's had multiple businesses. We've done business in this region for so long. We've consulted across multiple businesses. So, when we are sitting across the table, we can view a lot of the pitfalls. We can advise. We still tell clients, it is at the end of the day, it's the founder's gut. What they want to do is what the founder will do.
Yes.
My job is to tell you to be prepared that this might happen and have a plan in place. Then go ahead and do it. But at least you're doing it knowing that there is a very high chance or probability that this particular aspect of your business might not take off in the first 6 months. How are you going to have that? So for me, I believe that as a consultant in the SME space, or any sort of business consultant, even, I'll go as far as to say that experience is everything. What experience? It's hard one, right? It's forged in steel, like you say.
Absolutely. And also experience, I think, which should be, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is experience that needs to be sort of 360 degrees, because you can't know one aspect of something and then not think about the other. It's like there was this one, and I keep quoting her because I love that quote that she shared with me. She said, it's often in the not knowing that I find the most satisfaction, because when I know what I don't know, that's when I'm growing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely so true.
Yeah. So that's something that really resonates, because you're like, it's only when you know, okay, acha, this tech, it could be a web developer. How is he working? Will you be able to think about your own aspect as well? So, and tell me now,
100%.
you've done business in the region. What's the best part about this region? What makes Dubai also a city that's worth starting up in? What's the best part about the journey here?
There is no limitation. You can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. There's the springboards that we are given, the access that we are given, you can't get in different parts of the world. Again, when we are still at a phase in the development of this country where the possibilities are limitless, we've come in at a great time, and this is the right time to do whatever it is that you want. If you were trying to do something digital in India at this point in time, it's not easy. You would be lost.
Yeah.
This is the place of opportunities. There is, the country doesn't believe in limitations, and they want you to believe, and they want you to be the same way, and you should take advantage of every single opportunity, access. This is the place to launch a business at this point in time.
You mentioned you did masters in a completely different field. How does it tie back? How did everything link up for you? Because I'm sure knowledge, and I believe knowledge never goes waste. So how did that all tie up and tie back?
Discipline, right? I mean, when you have a master's in something like microbiology, it's patience and it's discipline. And you'll go in and you'll put in a culture at 8 p.m. and you'll wait 48 hours or something to see if it's even worked. And half the time it's failing. And it's having the patience to go back and have the small metrics and little optimizations. When you're working in science, it's always you keep 85% the same and then you change one metric, or sorry, you keep 95% and you change one metric, which is optimization of your experimental skills. That's how you figure out what you need to. Business is very much the same. It's that 1% optimizations that happen constantly. So you build that mindset in general. You build a mindset of, right, I know that I am at a 85% efficiency, I'm at 80% efficiency. What happens if I change this one thing? What happens if I optimize just my email marketing campaigns? What happens? Oh, okay, fine. This is what's happened. Now let me try to change my let me try to add in, for example, on a new product together with this. Okay, this is what happens. So the constant optimizations that really ties back into my entire career, or my entire degree as far as microbiology is concerned. And sales, I think 5-6 years of sales really helped me with my client experience bit now, because sales gives you perspective on human behavior like nothing else does.
Yes.
So being able to understand your clients or being able to understand that human being is, I would have not learned that in my lab. I definitely did not learn that in my lab. It was that came from doing sales, that when you put these two together, it kind of really ties in with what I do now.
Beautiful. Your journey is beautiful. And the thing is, I can see the expertise and the passion when you're talking, because it hardly takes you a second to get started on what I'm asking you also. So I can see the fact that it's coming so naturally to you.
Thank you so much. But I just like to talk.
No, but you're talking so much. It's just, yeah, it's been a very enriching podcast. My last question to you is that I'm curious to know, why did you say 1115? Is there some logic behind it? And where do you think you're headed with 1115?
So 1115 totals up to 8, which is the number for infinity, right?
Wow.
So it's the infinite possibilities of commerce. Also, when you have numbers, if we're looking at ranking, we rank really well. If you just type us in with the first search in there, because we start with numbers. So from an SEO perspective, that really works well in our favor there.
Yeah.
We want to be the go-to business advisory for SMEs and MSMEs in the region. So this is it's exactly my why, is how the reason we started the business is where we want to scale the business as well. We tell clients, we said, we'll get you ready for KPMG. Come to us. We are the 0 to 100 experts. We will get you, because we understand the 0 to 100 limitations, right? When you're at 100, you're looking to scale beyond that, there are other experts you can go on, but we are here to work within the limitations of what your business needs to get you there. So we're looking at geographic expansion as well this year. So we want to be not just UAE centric, we want to be GCC centric.
Wow.
And so so we're looking at expanding geographically, as well as we want to be the go-to e-commerce and digital business advisory in the Middle East.
And on a Dubai note, inshallah, you will reach there.
Thank you. Definitely.
More power to both of you. I've also spoken to her and she's been lovely as well. And so has this chat been lovely. So I'm really looking forward to sharing with it, this one, because I think young consultants have a lot to kind of take on in terms of perspective. And hopefully we have some of them even learning from you personally. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It means a lot to me. And until next time, Karishma Connect.
Thank you so much, Karishma. Thank you for your time. You've been a pleasure to talk to, which makes it easier for everybody to articulate what they have to say. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.